Well, hello. Welcome. It's that time once again. It's time for another virtual tour presented by the Maine Brew Bus. My name is Don Littlefield, and I am serving as your guide once again today on this virtual tour, which we'll be talking with Topher Mallory. Topher is a co-founder of Split Rock Distilling in Newcastle, Maine, and also a partner of mine in hosting duties for the television show Cheers from Maine. So we're going to talk about Split Rock. We're going to talk about Royal Rose syrups. We're going to talk about the Maine Distillers Guild, and then we'll give you a little sneak peek of what to expect on a brand new episode of Cheers from Maine, which airs tomorrow night at 7:30 in Maine on the stations of News Center Maine, that's the NBC affiliate statewide, Channel 2 in Bangor, and Channel 6 in Portland. A few words before we get going. Once again, I'm supported by Mr. Greg Klein, who's directing, but he's producing behind the scenes. He is taking your questions and comments. So anything that you have to say or questions you have for Topher, you can put them right in the comments, and Greg will get those to me separately. And now it looks like Topher's ready to connect. And let's see. They've promised us something special. Let's see how this goes.
Something special.
It's Matt Page. It's something special right there. How are you?
My hairdo a little bit.
Well, Topher, you're a man of many hairstyles, so I actually believe it.
I can't believe this has been only like 2 months of hair growth here. It was relatively short when we started the show filming.
It's true, and I went back to look at pictures to promote this, and I have one from not that long ago with very long hair, and I've seen you with dreadlocks before. I've seen you with short hair before, so I appreciate all those things. I appreciate them. What are you pouring there for us?
See, I thought about that. I was like, what's the technology to be able to virtually, can I like reach up into your frame and pour? Oh.
Is that what you mean? However, it's just a touch early to start with that. So I'm using another fantastic product of yours, a Maine horseradish vodka, and I've made myself
Touche.
a Bloody Mary. Excellent. So,
that looks tasty. What do you have in there?
Well, that's a sweet and spicy pickle and just a celery stalk. I added a little hot sauce to this and a locally made dry blend of spices that I added to tomato juice. So, cheers.
Oh, sounds tasty. Cheers to you, sir. It's been a week. Drink to that.
That's great. I love it. So welcome. Thanks for hopping on here. There's a few reasons that we wanted to talk to you guys. We definitely want to know a lot more about what's happening at Split Rock, but there's much more to the story than that. We have a whole side of the business that is all devoted to organic syrups, which we're going to talk about. And I think the best way to begin is from the beginning. So how did you guys meet, and how did you come up with this idea to start an organic distillery in coastal Maine?
So we've got a few bottles to consume in order for the story to be told, I think. At least a few. Yeah. No, I think we'll both chime in on different parts, but it started 6 or 7 years ago, just wondering why there were no organic distilleries in the Northeast. And there wasn't much with bourbon specifically in Maine at the time. And we thought, why not? Which turned into why, and the next thing we knew, it sort of came to fruition. But it was our name that came much later was this little dirt road that was the shortest way between our homes, and we just traveled it frequently and kept sort of building experiences we had with folks like yourself in tours of breweries, distilleries, and wineries, and we looked specifically at area farms, and it always came back to bourbon. I mean, that was like a nice weeded bourbon was something we both enjoyed and was a big part of our friendship.
Yep.
I think I just went all over the radar, but that's kind of how it happened.
And I'm going to take it all the way back to, we actually first met something like 15 years ago at a girl's birthday party, a dear friend of ours, Jen Baldwin. And literally it was Topher and myself and a house full of women, and we were the only two dudes there. So I think we naturally just, migrated towards the kitchen island that was in closest proximity to the refrigerator where the beer was. So, The rest is history. So
the rest is history. And there's a lot to the story there to unpack. But the one part I like is the shortcut between the two houses is the split rock. It's literally a split rock. So there's a geographical feature that I guess you could triangulate where they lived at the time. That would be easy to do. It was a meeting point for them. And that nobody was doing an organic distillery as far as the local scene. But organic is hard. It's much more difficult. And distilling is already hard. So why was that important to you guys to have an organic distillery?
Yeah, here, we've got our mobile bar here. It is about 6 feet, so although we might seem closer in the frame, this is our, so no one's glasses fog with masks, and we can be close but far away.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, I think organic, it wasn't the first thing, but it was very close thereafter. I mean, first was bourbon, and as we started to play around with non-GMO crops and understood that the quality of the grain played such a prevalent role. And we have essentially three or four things we do here. We brew beer. We take some starch or sugar and convert it to alcohol. And then we distill that and extract the alcohol. And then we're maturing. And when we started playing around just with the fermentation and the quality of the beer we were making, we noticed that grain plays a huge role. And that was, I think, how we arrived at organic. And, one thing led to another, and the more research we did and the more we established relationships, working with folks like Mafka was incredible and instrumental. And the farms and the people around the organic industry were all kindred spirits and great people to work with. So it's really been, although not the easiest way to do something, which seems to be our style, it was a great product at the end of the day, or at least we think so.
Nice. All right, Matt, come forward. I have a question for you. And as you're moving around the bar, because this seems like a fun game, what is your professional background? What were you doing, or what are you doing before this?
So I've been a licensed site evaluator here in the state of Maine. So doing soil science and all that kind of fun stuff. And still do a little bit out on the side, but for the most part, my primary focus is here in the production side of things.
So coming from soil sciences, then I guess it means even more to you to have an organic product that you're using and creating, because you know what bad can happen in the soil.
Yep, absolutely. With proper farming practices and proper mitigation of control of pests and all those kind of things, it's crucial to not only the long-term development and purification of our water and all that other fun stuff. And we're still open and still taking care of non-contact pickups outside the door here. So as we juggle this process while we're working, so here.
No problem.
Yeah, sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, for the most part, that's really it. It's the overall aspect of how to properly use and preserve the land for everyone and in the future.
That's amazing. We're talking right now with Matt Page. Also, Topher Mallory is nearby. They're the co-founders of Split Rock Distilling, which is right on Route 1 in Newcastle, Maine. Just on the other side of Wiscasset, the famous bridge and the traffic tie-ups. We got new traffic lights there this year, so we'll see how that goes. Newcastle is a great little community, and Split Rock is a great distillery there. And like I said, there's a lot to the story. But before we talk more about the story, let's say hi to a bunch of people. Norway Brewing has joined us. Legends Rest, which is a craft alcohol and craft food focused restaurant in Westbrook, Maine. Blank Canvas, our friends from Brewer, say hello from Brewer. Angie Bell, so my friend Angie, hello, good to see you. Royal Rose Syrups, they've joined from upstairs, which is fantastic. Fresh Food Gardens, Tacos La Poblanita, Maine, authentic Mexican street food. The Cat Barber, J. Zach Pearson. We've got a bunch of people here to learn a little bit more about Split Rock. So in essence, making bourbon was the end game. In order to get there, you had to have some stepping stones. So tell me a little bit about those stepping stones.
Yeah, for us, it was how do we come to market with an assortment of things similar like what you're drinking. We were looking around at what the aspect of how do we make gin in the future? How do we make vodkas in the future. And we knew that, we had vowed to never sell any alcohol that we didn't make ourselves from scratch. That was one of the things that we very much realized early on in touring lots of other distilleries, really understanding what goes into the process. And for us, it was how do we bring that horseradish vodka that you have right there to market while we're waiting for all of our bourbon to age. So, for us, as you kind of see behind me, it's our 20-foot tall vodka tower right there next to our 4-window whiskey column, and our stills sitting over there along with all of our mash tuns and fermenters over to my left. But it was that. It was, let's go ahead and start making a premium vodka that we could organically with New England grains, and then take that and work with local organic farmers in Maine, such as Snake Root Farms, who grows the horseradish for us for our horseradish vodka. Likewise with our blueberries from Elderflower Farms, who grows all of our blueberries, and just taking all those variable senses of Maine and making it part of our profile.
Yeah, that's great. And working with those farms and some small, some not so small, some not as well known for farming as they are for other things, I think is a really good testament to what you're trying to do with the community there. So one of the things that I think is really striking is the graphic design of the labels and the branding. So I assume that all comes from you, no?
That's actually, it's a team effort. So all of our graphic design, our logo, and everything has literally been. Our joke is it's not bad for two dudes, So for the most part, we are surrounded by incredibly talented friends and family who have helped to steer some fantastic ideas in a proper direction and to smack down some absolutely terrible ideas for us in an honest way. And
that's good.
Give some credit to my mother-in-law.
Yep.
Kathy Lotterell, rocking it, helping us with
cheers, Kathy.
Graphic design delivery.
Cheers, Kathy.
Braden Bueller in the Portland area, who
6 feet.
Yep, 6 feet. Takes all of our thoughts, and Braden somehow, we call it waxing poetically, and Braden articulates these labels and these thoughts into something that, it's awesome. I still take a lot of pleasure and enjoyment in reading our bottles, and I think it does really grab what we're trying to do, which is awesome. So
There's a true authentic story on the back of every bottle, and the signatures from each of you, which is very cool too. All right, so we heard a little bit about Matt's background, but Topher, your background is also very interesting. You're actually very connected with a very well-known business here in Maine. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so Split Rock Distilling, that's what we're talking about. Mexicali Blues has been my day job for the better part of 15 years, and it's been an incredible journey, and it's been a lot more than a day job. It's again similar to us talking about labels. The team, starting with the ownership of the Erskines and all the people that work there, are a huge part of it. And at the end of the day, it's still a big part of what I do. But their children are becoming more and more part of the organization, and things here are picking up. So I foresee there'll probably be some changing of the guard in the next few years.
Yeah, especially as Split Rock continues to grow and build. But let's not downplay your involvement with Mexicali Blues. You're the CEO of the company, correct?
I am. Yep.
So think about that.
We've done a lot in those 15 years.
Yeah, that's a retail store with multiple locations scattered around the state. Actually, they're all in very high traffic areas, and just a brand presence in its own right. Although, to the best of my knowledge, it doesn't manufacture anything. It sells for other manufacturers, but is really well known here in the state and has an identity all of its own. So I think, to me, that helps tie together the ethos of Split Rock a little bit. They're completely different businesses, but you understand that the people behind it are real business people. This is calculated business risk, and not just we should just do this. Although there's a touch of that in there too, I think.
You can say it's calculated.
So again, we're talking with Topher Mallory. He's in the orange kerchief, I believe that is, and there it is. It's a mask. And then in the back is Matt Page. So Topher, one of the really well-timed plays that happened in your company's existence is having a vendor called Royal Rose become a part of your family. So it's a really interesting story how that happened.
Yeah, it was out of. Yeah, I'm gonna grab one. I'll grab a sour mix as a fun example, but all of these mixes and syrups are certified organic by Mafka, and that's running off the curbside. And we had them in our tasting room, and like the drink you're sipping on, it was a big part of our experience when Maine allowed us to start selling cocktails and other things that are spirits and our brand goods. It was a really natural fit for us. They were made down the street in Brunswick at the time, and the product we loved that we could have a completely organic Maine-made cocktail. So we started doing the cocktails, and then we started selling it because it worked really well. People wanted to buy it, so we brought in some for our retail. And probably around the end of the first year, I think, Emily and Forrest, who founded Royal Rose 10 years ago, actually, something we're going to start talking about more in the next few months, said, we've got some other ideas and things we want to do, and we're sort of working on how a collaboration might work, but we're really fixated on making everything from scratch here. And they said, well, that just might work. What do you think about grabbing the baton and being Royal Rose as well? And at the time, the upstairs of our barn didn't have anything in it. We had earmarked it as offices, but we were working so hard making that we never got to the offices. And so we put it upstairs, and now we have a large expansion, and sort of the pumps running in the background are actually part of Royal Rose's equipment that's out in our new warehouse. And it's another business. It's filling hand sanitizer at the moment, but Royal Rose is still made upstairs. Some of it's bottled in the new building, and it's been a part of our ethos for a little more than 2 years, which is hard to imagine that we've been making Royal Rose syrup here for 2 years, and the company's been in existence for 10.
Yeah. So tomorrow night on Cheers for Maine, you and I filmed a socially separated, physically separated intro, and we're right in front of the retail side of what Split Rock is all about. So it's the big red barn. But what is not really immediately seen is the size of the expansion of the new building. So give us some numbers. What is the size of that new building compared to the footprint you're in now?
It is roughly 3 times what our existing footprint. So the distillery floor one is about 1,800 square feet with a 10 to 12 foot ceiling. Hold on 1 sec, I've got a curbside question.
No problem. So we're talking with Topher Mallory and also Matt Page. They're from Split Rock Distilling and Royal Rose Syrups. And both companies focus on organic products. They're in Newcastle, Maine. And we're just talking to Topher about the size of the expansion, which has been now finished in order to accommodate these businesses.
All right, I'm back. You have my undivided attention. I doubt they would mind a shameless plug, but Moody's Diner was out front buying a bunch of hand sanitizer, and we were giving them extra labels so that they could properly label all their dispensers. But back to our location here, the new space is about 4,800 square feet, but it has almost 20-foot walls. So we're able to do a lot more from warehouse, the items that we used to say to people, we move something to move something to do something, and then we move something to move something to do that other thing, and then we move something, and then we clean 5 things because we moved them. And now we can finally produce our spirits, put them in barrels, move them out to our rick house, palletize our finished product. It's just allowing us a lot of efficiency and a lot of room to grow, which was something we were struggling with when we put Royal Rose upstairs. The spirits were still growing. It was this constant ebb and flow of one company sort of stopping what the other company could do.
Yeah. That's fun, and it's definitely an upgrade on the facility, which it allows you to do so many other things. You gave me a tour a couple months ago and showed me how the tractor trailers will be able to come in, trucks will be able to deliver product back and forth. So that's congratulations on that, and I think it came at a good time because you had some open space to do some changes as changes have come your way. Say hi to a bunch more folks. Dan Pease, our friend at Rock Harbor Brewing Company, says hello. Peter Nickel says that I see that you've moved on from
Peter.
He sees that you've moved on from tie-dye.
Peter's one of those people that gets a plug. Peter helped us with a lot of video and some awesome brand identity work early on. So, Peter, thank you.
Well done, Peter. Say-K821, Organized Maine, have also joined the broadcast here. And so let's talk about this new product that you've developed in the past few months. It's hand sanitizer. And a lot of distilleries around the state are cooperating with a lot of other organizations to make hand sanitizer for either medical grade, hospital grade, or for personal use. So tell me a little bit about how Split Rock got involved with that.
Well, I'll use a quick example because you just mentioned Rock Harbor while it's top of mind. I know Rock Harbor gave some beer to Blue Baron, who brought it up to about 170 proof. And then since we have a vodka column right behind Matt there that goes up to the second story, we were one of the few that could take it the rest of the way to make the FDA-approved World Health Organization recipe that hospitals wanted. We needed to get to 190 proof before we brought it back down to 80 in the sanitizer as we compounded it with peroxide and glycerin. So that's a great example of sort of how Maine businesses were collaborating behind the scenes, but it did start with the news. We saw other distilleries in harder hit areas start to change gears and make sanitizer. And here in Maine, hospitals actually contacted us directly before we ever worked through New England Distilling. Ned heads up the guild and started to be a central hub for how it was going to work with other businesses. And then that brought in Maine, who eventually played a really key role in maximizing our potential to hospitals. But we, throughout that, worked directly with hospitals, which was really unique and something we're going to start to talk about a little in our social media. It was also really rewarding. We were able to make that product start to finish here. And under Matt's arms now, we've got what?
5 gallons.
Look at that. 5-gallon tub of it, yeah. Amazing. And that's available.
1.75 liter also.
And the 175 we can ship anywhere in the lower 48. We currently are doing that with a free shipping coupon, Peace of Mind. And the 5-gallon is something that's more of a curbside item. We can't palletize that if people are buying enough of them. But that is solely designed with, from construction to small doctors' offices and dental operations. It's thinking about the essential and core businesses that need hand sanitizer. We're hopeful that other people will start to satiate some of this demand, people that have been making hand sanitizer forever. But for right now, we're just going to do our best to make it as deliverable to those that need it. Yep. And we have curbside set up 3 days a week, and we're shipping almost 2 times a day right now. So if people order it before 5 o'clock, it usually goes out that very day. It'll arrive anywhere in Maine the next day, and it'll arrive as far away as California in 3 or 4 days.
And that can be ordered right at splitrockdistilling.com.
Yep.
As well as certain other products can be ordered there for shipment. Not all of them, but several others, of course. I think that's just fantastic. And the part of the story that I'd love you to touch on is that mad dash, the search for glycerin and peroxide, because it involved another well-known Maine retailer just down the street with some warehousing. Matt, tell us a little bit about that search.
Yeah, we were able to work with Rennie's, whose warehouse is located headquarters right down the street from us here in Newcastle. And they were able to really get us the peroxide very much as soon as we needed it. They were landing as much as they could harvest from the stores that were temporarily shuttered, and then also straight from their suppliers as soon as they had that open.
Amazing.
Fantastic to work with.
And then I think an important piece of the puzzle here, too, is that this is not a product that you had ever practiced on before. You had the capability because of the equipment behind you to get to the appropriate levels. But the recipe, the formulations were in the public domain, that the CDC had put those out there. And so it's not like people are homebrewing this. They're following formulations that are approved by the CDC and the World Health Organization. And they're making these products available to the medical community, but also to individuals as well. So Bravo to you guys. It's going to be a little blip in the long history, but it's an important part of what you've been able to do, and that pivot has been really remarkable. And not just your distillery, but also companies statewide that have played a part in that.
Agreed.
Okay, now let's talk about. Let's switch, if you don't mind. I'll switch back to Topher.
Can you tell really who's who? I mean, you can't really tell.
No. Can't tell at all. So, Topher, let's say hi to a few folks that I've got a question for you. Donna Hall has joined us. She helps people declutter their lives, which I think is super important. She's in Portland. Organized Maine is her handle. Harry Simones. Hello, Harry. Good family member of ours. My wife's uncle, which is great. Kent Good. He's known as the Thirsty Dog. Indy Jones 47 says hi. So that's fantastic. And I saw my friend Jeff Grundy was in too, a bartender in Portland. So let's thanks everybody for joining us here. So Topher, you and I are lucky enough to get to see each other either virtually or in real life a few times a month as we prepare and host episodes of a TV show called Cheers for Maine. So a little backstory, Cheers for Maine is a new show from Maine Life Media. Erin O'Valley, who has left the news journalism side of life to produce her own television programs of various topics. Most notably, a show called Maine Life, which airs here in Maine, has for several years. And then a show that airs on New England Sports Network called This Is Maine. Well, she came up with a new concept about exploring the brewing, wining, and distilling world of Maine. And I've been involved, and Topher got involved, and now we jointly tell these stories. So how fun is that for you to be able to connect to the viewers now on TV?
It's been an incredible journey. It's not something that felt natural in the beginning, and it took me a while to, although you guys kept rooting me on and saying, no, you seemingly are yourself. It was a bit of a getting to know the camera. It's not like just talking with a person. It's intimidating.
Right.
And the part that I've enjoyed, along with getting over that camera thing, has been seeing all the breweries and wineries and distilleries. I know a lot of these people, and we see one another in these places where it's something like the hand sanitizer. We're collaborating, we're working hard, but it's not really getting to experience someone else's place of business and their production facilities, and that's been awesome. And Rock Harbor, who's on live with us right now, that was a beer that I love the marketing. I loved the can. I then loved the beer because I bought it because of the aesthetic. And then to see the tasting room and the extra kitchen, because it used to be a kitchen or I can't remember the exact
It's like a kitchen display center, right?
Yeah, it was like this beautiful commercial kitchen or a temporary kitchen, and the space was just really cool, and the brewing area and the canning, and I could do this with any of the brands we've been to. Yeah. Just the inspiration that they've each provided for me personally is something I feel a level of gratitude and I really appreciate it and thankful for. I hope other people are able to take that away from the show, and it's been really intimate getting to do that with you each week.
Well, thank you. It's been really fun to do that with you as well. And I think what it has helped to do is I think each industry is collaborative within their own environs. And I think we're also seeing that there are ways that the industries are working with one another in different ways. This, current situation notwithstanding, there are already, beers that were going into barrels that were from distillers, winemakers using barrels, and then just a lot of collaborative efforts. So it's really fun to see that. All right, so we have our 8th episode. It airs tomorrow night. It's a brand new episode. There are only 9 episodes in the season, so this is the next to last one. I know, but let's give everybody kind of a sneak peek of what this new episode is all about. This was all recorded in the past 7 or 8 days or so. And as I mentioned, it starts with an bar in front of Split Rock Distilling. And there's a theme to this show. So I know my side of the story is that I wanted to visit breweries that were as far away from each other as possible. So we talked to the most northern brewery way up here in Fort Kent called First Mile, and then a brewery down here in Kittery at the other end of the state called Woodland Farms. Those are going to be really interesting discussions, and those are two different communities altogether. Topher, you had a really good theme of what you wanted to explore as well.
Yeah, I tried to rip off of what you did, and for me, it was within the industry. So I looked at places that were doing very, very, very different things in very, very different styles of business. So Maine craft with a really long tenure in this craft space, which is not really a long history, but they've been here for a while, and they've made equipment before there were well-engineered pieces like the one behind me. And they've evolved into things like canned cocktails. I also spent some time with friends at Tree Spirits and got to know absinthe, which is something that I didn't know anything about. I knew that I liked it, and I knew that it played this integral role in a cocktail, but the history, I don't want to tease too much here, but it's really, it got me. I dug it. That was a fun one. I look forward to seeing it on air.
That was fun. Each of the four companies that we talked to supplied video and pictures from their operation. Of course, we're not sending any crews in. We're not visiting any of these locations. So it's all done remotely. And it comes out really well. And special thanks to the team at Maine Life Media and Mercedes, our editor, and of course, Aaron, who's our executive producer, for making the show look as good as it does. A teaser was released this afternoon, a couple minutes long, that showed each of these aspects, plus one more, which I'll talk about in a second. And I was really blown away by that. I don't know if you've had a chance to see that teaser video or not.
I haven't. Well, I'm kind of excited to check it out. I didn't know it was out there. So it's the first thing I do when we take the camera away.
It's out there for sure. The last segment is talking with Patrick Mcdonald, who's a bar manager at Cheval in Portland. But he's talking on behalf of basically all bartenders in Maine. And there's a campaign that has started called Save Our Shifts, which is a Maine-grown collaborative effort between a few companies and organizations to basically distilling companies have, in the most part, distilling companies have funded with sponsorships. Individuals have kicked in money as well. And then the money that is raised is then going to be redistributed out to out-of-work bartenders in exchange for educational videos that they'll produce at their own homes. So the first round of those submissions closed last night. I understand that the selection committee has a tough choice ahead of them, but the goal is to try to provide money to as many Maine bartenders as possible. The first video released last week, it is Pat McDonald's video, and he shows how to make a very interesting cocktail that ends with dark lights and flames, which is super exciting. And there's another video that will be released tomorrow. So Save Our Shifts if you're interested as either a current bartender, or if you have a business that you had bartenders that are out of work, you can connect them with that application process. And all they have to do is come up with an idea for an educational video, and there's money behind it. So I don't think I've sent you any information about that, but I'll make sure that Split Rock knows about it. Maybe the Guild has sent some information to you about that. But
I've seen it in my personal feed, and I've been reading up on it. We are planning to try and echo as many of those posts as we could this weekend. It's definitely something we too support, and it's a great cause, and they certainly have developed a really nice way to support that community, which has not been a community that I felt like got the support out of the gate that it should have. So, a good cause.
Yeah, for sure. And then, as I mentioned, we have one more episode of Cheers for Maine. Normally, that's a look back, but we're going to do a little look forward as well. So, look in a week or two for a new episode that will be doing some highlights from the past season, from the 25 places that we've visited around the state, but also we're going to be talking with some folks about what the future looks like for these industries in Maine as best as we know at that point. So I'm looking forward to that. And, it's been really fun to do that with you, Topher. Like I said, it's you're good at what you're learning. So.
Well, y'all came and visited us, and I just sort of, I think, latched on like a groupie, and somehow I became part of the band, which has been awesome.
All right, I like that. So let's use that motif and tell me what 2020 means for Split Rock, as best as you can tell right now. What is this year going to be all about?
Oh boy, I wish I had a crystal ball, so to speak, so I could see this whole year. One of the things we thought early on would be playing to Royal Rose, being 10 years old, and we've paused. You know, we'll talk about that in I think a few months. And right now, it's been a lot about, in this moment, in these next few weeks, just continuing to support everyone around us as best we can. Bars have been an integral part of how Split Rock's gotten to where it is, and we want to help as those businesses start to slowly reopen. So we've been working with a lot of folks on, we haven't done any sort of cocktails or anything out of our front door. We want to make sure that business lands on our local restaurants as they're able to do something they haven't done before as they lose their dining rooms. So short term, it's continue where we've been with hospitals and just supporting our community as we get back to whatever that new normal is. We've got some new products that I'm excited to talk about, and Matt is rocking the curbside right now. I know he'd like to be a part of this with the sanitizer. We've learned a lot about sugar, and rum has been on our radar for a while, so we'll be releasing a rum this year. It'll start with a white, and then we'll move into an aged rum. We're working on both products right now. And for Royal Rose, we've got that 2020, like I said, and we've also got some new drink mixes in the mix. It's pretty funny. I didn't think about that before. So, that'll, from a product standpoint, those are the big things. And for us at the experience here at the distillery, a lot's changed with the tasting room. This summer and fall, our plan is to continue with a contact-free curbside. For right now, we feel like that allows us to purvey the items and give people a very safe and easy experience. And I think it also allows our restaurants to be the focal point for cocktails and food.
Yeah.
We're going to try and keep collaborating with the likes of yourself and do more in the way of virtual tours.
Right.
And our driveway is something we've been talking about a lot, with showing off the different crops, how organic farming works, and maybe just very simply doing some stands of the crop. So as you're coming up for curbside, you'll start to see planters with organic corn and barley and rye and those things. And just again, building connection with our local farms. We hope in the future there might be the opportunity for an organic food stand of some sort, or CSA, to be part of our driveway here right on Route 1. We have a lot of traffic, both on the road as well as at the distillery, and I think there's an opportunity. We have about an acre of land in front of the distillery that would play very nicely to something like that. So those are a bunch of projects. Hopefully I wasn't too wordy there.
No, not at all. It dropped a couple of hints, and I hadn't really thought about, distillery tasting rooms are cocktail bars, but you want your partners, you want your companies that do business with you to have success as well. So that makes a lot of sense. Let them be the focal point for the cocktails. You'll support them in as many ways as possible. But the other thing is, you hadn't really told me all the plans. You told me some landscaping and some changes in front there, but I think that's just fantastic to make it a teaching area, educational area, and support agriculture with a farm stand. I think is just fantastic. And that driveway, that loops through there too, right? So
we have a nice circular driveway, so the flow of traffic's really, I feel like it's been knocking on a barrel or something. It's been very smooth so far. We're able to still keep 18-wheelers and some larger trucks with our new facility. We've got a much better loading dock situation, so they are able to come at the same time a customer, and there's no issues. Where when we first got started, there was a solid learning curve on traffic, and it's a little dirt road, and we've developed it in a way that it still keeps the nostalgia and the nice feel of a Maine dirt road, but allows for safe passage of vehicles, both customer and our needed pickup and drop-offs, whether that's something coming from a local farm or something going out to Pine State or one of our distributors outside of Maine.
Yeah, that's a good point. And in fact, when you are able to go visit either through curbside or in the future, when you put that into your map system, you're sent to Osprey Point Lane. It's basically Route 1. They're right on Route 1. So don't think you're going to have to go off the beaten path. It's just the name of that road that they're on. So just got a couple minutes here left with Topher and Matt if he's able to come back, but he's busy doing curbside at Split Rock Distilling, which is in Newcastle, Maine. If you have any questions, comments, or want to give some high fives virtually and some cheers to Topher and the team there, you can do so right on the comments section on the Instagram page. We've got a couple minutes left. So here's, I guess, a question. This is more overall, like all the businesses that you're involved in. What do you think this summer will be for visitors from outside of Maine? I'm not talking about the quarantine and legislative things, but do you think people still have a hankering to come and visit Maine and to spend time exploring and visiting their summer homes and so forth?
I think so. I hope so. I know so in that I wasn't born here in Maine. I certainly try and act as though I'm a Mainer, but I too came from away. And my girls, who I noticed my wife just chimed in, so this is a really good time to be putting on my honest Massachusetts face, which is where I was born and raised. And I know I love Maine for that quality of life and that ability to get away. And I think that that's something people are going to be looking for this summer. And I know that Janet Mills and the team here is doing everything they can to make it safe and accessible, and those two things are not really easy to do at the same time. And I hope that everybody has patience and still holds Maine in that same, it's a great place and it's still a great place, and we're trying to make it as accessible safely as we possibly can. And I think people will still come this summer, and I think that people value where they're coming to, and I know they're going to be safe, and that there's still a lot to do here, even if it means doing something like Matt and I did today, where we have 6 feet and we're just dancing around this. I think that you can still use a lake, you can still use the ocean in a reasonable way. I think that with more curbside and a lot of businesses adapting to ways of purveying their product or their experience. I mean, look at you. I almost drove the forklift up to the front door just so I could get out of something green, right?
Right.
You're delivering it, man. This is it right now. I mean, people can come to Maine. We just had Peter Nichols on here, who's in the DC area. And Peter was born and raised in Maine. And he's coming back and experiencing it through your live feed. So here's to that.
Well, and there's other ways you can do that. So right on splitrockdistilling.com, you can take a virtual tour, courtesy of an episode of Cheers for Maine, which was filmed there, so you can see your way around there. You can place orders for shipment, delivery, curbside. You can go there and visit, and you can see for yourself. But also a partner of ours who's been sponsoring these virtual tours is carhopme.com. And Carhop has partnered with Split Rock Distilling directly, as well as several retail stores where most likely Split Rock products are involved or available as well. So if all of this has made you thirsty for the products, which I'm going to ask Matt if you could give me bullet points on each of the products so people know the wide range of what you're doing. But if you're now thirsty for these products, you can source them through Carhop Me, or you could take, like a mental health drive up the coast. It's about an hour outside of Portland, and you could go place an order for curbside pickup at Split Rock Distilling in Newcastle. All right, here we go.
All right, starting off, we have our organic vodka that we make right here in the distillery. This is, and of course, it'll be backwards.
It's backwards, yeah. We can't fix it.
So that is our 100% corn, so it's New England corn. We then take that same organic vodka, we add blueberries from Elderflower Farms. If you read that backwards, it says vodka. We then take what you're sipping on right now, we take beautiful horseradish grown for us up in Pittsfield, Maine, at Sacred Farms, and that is that right there. Is our horseradish vodka. We follow that up. Boom, our gin. Yeah, you're back now. You were just spinning your paws so serenely there. So yeah, it's our gin made with the Colonel's 11 herbs and spices.
Right. Botanical recipes.
Gin, we throw it into our used bourbon barrels for about 3-ish months or so, and that is where we get our barrel rested gin. You can see that beautiful kind of toasted note on it from the used bourbon barrels. Gives it that sweet note of that caramelized aspect of the barrel itself. We then move into the world of where all this started. So our base product, this remarkably was not one of our first products that we put out there, but it's our white whiskey. After sitting around and barreling a tremendous amount of bourbon when we first started, this was somewhere around our 5th or 6th product we released. We kept sipping on our white whiskey and going, man, this is good. Like, this is actually really good as a white product. And so
it's not aged, wasn't in a barrel yet. So, yeah.
Exactly. Got our approval, got our label.
Nice.
We then moved to our, what we refer to now as our white label standard bourbon. This is our anywhere from approximately 9 to 18 months in a 10 to 15 gallon barrel. And then we move to our heavy hitters, which is our newest product, which is our straight bourbon, which is 30, there it is, cheers, which is in our 30-gallon barrel. And as you see behind us, there's additional straight bourbon back there and everywhere else I can see. And then we move to what everything kind of started for. This is our straight bourbon single barrel cask strength. So literally, one of the best days I used to say as a distiller was the first time we were proofing down our original bourbon. The second best day is when we got to lay out about 60 different 30-gallon barrels and start sampling over a period of a few days to really understand the complexity of the flavors and components.
Yeah.
And we chose 2 barrels that were literally sitting side by side right here in our window, 38 and 39. We popped the bung on them, we dumped them into our vat, and we did a light filter to get the char out, and we put them into the bottle. And I tell you, this is just remarkable. The sweetness of the corn, the softness of the wheat, the barley, and then just wrapped in that cinnamon, vanilla notes of the barrel itself.
Amazing.
And of course, at 122 proof.
Ooh, 61% alcohol.
And not even close to a boozy note to it. It just really, that additional alcohol helps that full bouquet of flavor components come through.
Amazing. So a wide range of products, a rum in development. The Royal Rose lineup is 25 different flavors of syrups or so.
Are you
just
ready?
a lot.
All right, I'll see how fast I can go through all of them.
Oh my goodness. We may not have that much time. But...
Are you up for a fun plot twist? Because Father's Day is coming up.
Let's do it.
And I don't think that, moms usually get the chocolate, right? But this year we've got something for dads. We have got a collaboration with Bixby Chocolate here in Maine, an organic bourbon bar. And we've been doing these they've been making them with our bourbon. We've been selling them here in the tasting room for a couple of weeks. And we eat most of them. But we've been selling a lot of them, and they're really tasty. Kate was here today, and she dropped off these gems that we're now put live on the website. And these are, I don't know if the camera's going to do this justice, but they are these tasty little pyramids of just sheer bliss.
Yeah,
they are a bourbon pecan caramel. Oh, they're so good.
Wow.
Yeah,
they're ridiculously good. That's great. And if you're just listening and not watching, he just opened a small box of 4 delicious-looking chocolates. Kate McAleer from Bixby Chocolates is a person who brought those to you, and those are going to be available at splitrockdistilling.com, it sounds like.
Yeah, they'll be up probably tomorrow and available for our next curbside. Since those are delicate, we can ship the bars, and we do, but the caramel, pecan, truffle-like, beautiful, we don't want those to get mauled in a shipping, so you'll just have those curbside.
Perfect. I'm going to give you the last minute to kind of tell everybody why Split Rock, what it means to you to have their support. I do have a question, so as brief as you can, from our friends Brew Donkey. That's a tour operation in Ottawa, Canada. They ask, what are the U.S. requirements to call it bourbon?
Ooh, ready?
Yeah.
51% corn is probably the most prevalent.
Or greater. It has to come off as still no higher than 165 proof.
It's got to go into a brand new barrel made here in the United States of what again?
A new American charred oak barrel.
Yes.
It's no higher than 125 proof into that barrel.
Yeah, and that was
there's about 20 pages that take those and boil them, or not boil them, elaborate into a whole bunch of minutia. But those are the big points that it's structured around: is corn, the proofs, the new barrel, and the char specifically. Yep, and the oak.
And because he's Canadian, I'll let you know that was an act of Congress in 1964. It's actually in the Federal Register that defined that. And you can hear the strength of the corn lobbyists and the pulpwood lobbyists, the timber folks in there to make sure that everything stayed according to what they wanted, basically. If you've enjoyed this conversation with Topher and Matt from Split Rock Distilling, you can help support the Maine Brew Bus by throwing a tip in our virtual tip bucket. It's right on our website at www.themainbrewbus.com under virtual tours. It's never expected. It's always appreciated. A little bit goes a long way, especially these days. So if you've enjoyed this, it helps us to keep going with a little bit in the tip bucket. We do match anything that's $100. We'll match with a $100 gift card, and we'll get that to you as soon as we get back in the office, which we have not done. I want to thank Greg Klein, who behind the scenes has been producing this and capturing these questions and comments. He just put up the website for our company as well. And why Split Rock? Why should people support you? What does it mean when they do that?
Well, whether it's the hand sanitizer that's obviously such a prevalent part of our world this moment, the bourbon, the chocolate bars, the syrup, you're supporting something that's made from scratch with ingredients that we are trying to source as close to our distillery as possible. They're always organic ingredients, and we have relationships with those farms or those manufacturers like Kate, who has just been wonderful to work with and came to us with the idea and was incredibly flattered. We were incredibly flattered by that. You're supporting Maine, so it kind of comes right back to our people are going to come here. Well, hopefully they do. And if you're not able to this summer for whatever reason, you can support businesses like our own, and that goes for distillers, brewers, wineries, local restaurants, chocolate manufacturers, bus tours, and there's so many great businesses that you can support right now through simple acts like gift cards, going to their website and putting a review out there, or plugging their product, or buying their product if you can substitute something with e-commerce. So that's my long-winded why Split Rock, why Maine, and hopefully people believe in that, because it's why we're here, and we'll continue doing what we're doing.
Watch out behind you. He's getting in the chocolates again. and real quick, I know we talked a lot about people coming to visit you in Newcastle, but your products are available statewide in wherever fine liquor is available. Is that correct?
That's true. From Bow Street and RSVP and Old Port Spirits in the Portland area near you to Hannaford's and a lot of the smaller one-off spirits operations, and a lot of restaurants too. There's from our King Eider's pub here in town to a lot of really amazing restaurants and bars in your area. Those to-go cocktails, I think, are going to be a big part of this summer. So there's more than one way to get your mitts on what we're making here. And if it's not a cocktail, all of our syrups are available in many of those locations too.
That's fantastic. Boys, well done. I really appreciate the time. You can watch Topher and I on Cheers for Maine tomorrow night on Channel 6 in Portland, Channel 2 in Bangor, the News Center Maine stations, the NBC affiliates, at 7:30 with an all-new episode, which goes from stem to stern and explores different approaches that different companies have. We're definitely looking towards the future and looking to a time where we can do this more in person. But until then, we appreciate everybody who's been watching, everybody who's participated, and thank you, boys, very much. Cheers to you. I can open the bourbon now. And we'll see everybody again soon. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.
Don, thank you so much.
Peace.